Hello guys, welcome back to the Downbeat podcast. My guest this week is David Gunn of KING810, a unbelievably interesting person. Met him for the first time earlier in the morning. We went to the gym together. Honestly, the guy is an enigma. We talked for an extended amount of time about magic to the point that we had to pull the pin on it and be like, let's just do a magic episode again. The guy is super well read. Don't think he'll mind me saying this. He's like kind of scary. The band's kind of scary. If you don't know KING810, unbelievable gym music, and regular in rotation for me. From Flint, Michigan, scary guys. They got a new album out. It was recorded with no click, no tracks, no nothing. Real raw, old school style. We talk about that. Just a really interesting chat with a really interesting guy. I was glad to pick his brains. Before we get started, I want to let you know we have a Patreon, patreon.com/the Downbeat. On it, you can get these episodes early. You can get these episodes ad-free. You can get access to the merch, which quite often sells out before anyone else. Basically, anything I do, you will get early on the Patreon. The lowest tier is £1. It helps support the podcast. It helps support me. Honestly, I could not do any of this without the support from Patreon. So if you like the podcast, or if you're just feeling like you want to spend some money, please check it out. Patreon.com/the Downbeat. If you don't want to sign up to the Patreon, but you do want to support the podcast, you could buy a lovely t-shirt or a hoodie or a pair of shorts or a jacket or anything like that by going to www.thedownbeat.at, so it spells Downbeat. There's 2 locations. One ships from the UK, one ships from the US. You help support the podcast. You help support yourself looking cool, going out there, getting a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Doesn't matter what way you swing, you're going to pull in there. Disclaimer, I don't actually know it's going to work, but it works for me. No, it doesn't. I can't put that in here. I'm going to keep it in here. www.thedownbeat.at, so it spells Downbeat. Check it out. I want to talk to you guys about making your guitar sound good. I know what you're thinking. You're a drummer. You can't play guitar. Well, guess what? Very close in idiocy to drummers is bassists, and then guitar's just one up from there. Neural DSP make plugins for your computer so you can just plug straight in and sound like any one of your favorite artists with a CD quality. Yes, CD, Spotify, whatever you use, tape, cassette tape quality, slightly better than cassette tape quality. Basically a quality sound straight out of the box. You don't have to have an amp. You don't have to have a microphone. You don't have to have any of that stuff. You just need your guitar and a cable. You plug it in. You can load up anything like Archetype Gojira, like Pliny, like the Nolly Pack. Let's say you are just one step up in evolution from a drummer. That's right, you're a bassist. There's a dark glass one. There's a bunch of stuff. None of the faff. Oh, let me just plug this amp in. Oh, there's a ground loop hum. No, there isn't. Stick your guitar straight into that computer and then into your lug holes. Neural DSP is giving listeners of the podcast an unbelievable discount on their plugins. It's 30%. I don't think you can get that anywhere. So use the code DOWNBEAT at neuraldsp.com to get 30% off any one of their plugins. I implore you to check it out. neuraldsp.com. The code is Downbeat. It's David Gunn of KING810 on the Downbeat podcast. Hi. First off, is it David or David?
You can call me David. That's what my friends call me.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Where did that come from?
Me and my friend, we were very much into, well, when I was a child, I got into rudimentary forms of paganism, Wicca, stuff like that. Yeah. Maybe 11 or 12. And when I became an older teenager and 19, 20, 21, me and my friend were into, we still are, obviously you can hear it in the music, ceremonial magic. And so his name's Jake and my name's David, and both biblical names, but we put the Y at the beginning, even though the Y is just a sound. It's actually supposed to be a J for Yanis and Yambres, the 2 magicians, the pharaoh in Egypt that Moses faces, that does all the miracles, and they have a duel. The pharaoh's two head magicians were Yanis and Yambres. It's just, it looks like Janus and Jambres.
So he's Yake.
And I'm David.
Yake and David, the 2 magicians.
Exactly.
It's funny because I was going to hit on that later on.
Okay.
And then earlier, we might as well just go straight into it then.
We're into it already.
First off, thanks for coming.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for the lift earlier.
Hey, thank you for hosting me.
This motherfucker came in. He was like, I'm going to be a bit late. Start warming up. I was deadlifting. If you don't care about the weights and stuff, sorry, you're fucked. I was deadlifting. I got up to like a 315. I was going to go up from there. This motherfucker just comes in and was like, "We going on this?" And I was like, "Yeah, we can. You can back it off if you want to warm up." And then just proceeds to rep out like 15. No warm up.
No
Fucking
gear.
Beast.
Well, I have to make a disclaimer as well. No steroids, because that's what people think you're doing if you can lift more than them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it.
They're like, yeah, he's just not natural.
Damn it.
And then they're right. I'm not natural, as in not natural.
You're
but I'm
supernatural.
But I'm not on steroids.
Nice. You're straight edge.
Yeah.
So a lot of straight edge people, their drug is actually steroids.
Yeah.
Never touched it?
No, never will.
Not even one cheeky?
No,
cycle?
Not anything, period. The only thing I say when people start getting into the steroid combo is I don't think that they are as harmful, as crazy, or as they're made out to be.
Yeah.
But I don't do them or want to do them. I think there was a big scare with the roid rage and with all of this stuff, which, just common sense. You're playing with your hormones, so you are there is effects to it. It's not harmless, but I almost think they did a reefer madness scare with steroids, kind of like they did with weed, where, if you smoke weed, you're going to kill your whole family and do whatever. They did a fear campaign regarding steroids with that as well. So I don't have the opinion about steroids that most people have, like, as in the general public.
Yeah, if it's going to do it to you, do something to you, it kind of already lives in you. Like me with weed, probably reefer madness could be correct. Like, I can't smoke weed, bro. I'm like a psycho. Yeah,
don't get me wrong. I'm not. I think reefer madness is a little bit real as well. I've seen some people doing some, get these drug-induced psychosis from it, and people swear it's, just a free your mind kind of thing, and I don't think that's true either. But I also don't think steroids are going to make you kill your family. I don't have anything against them. I just don't want or need them.
Yeah.
I'm not even close to considering that.
I've seen what you left.
Testosterone is also, because people are like, well, you must be on test if you're not on roids. They just, for some
steroids.
reason, can't.
It's the same thing.
It's like, no, nothing.
So you never touched a drug?
No.
Never.
I guess I've done ayahuasca in the jungle of Peru. So that's...
You want to tell me about that?
I don't know much about it. I was pretty gone.
How long was it?
I was there for a few weeks.
So you did a proper retreat?
Proper, yeah. Not too many English-speaking people, Peruvian shaman, high jungle in Peru. I think 10th generation shaman, never even left the jungle. No cell phones, no electricity, no laundry, internet, iPhone, whatever.
So like being on tour?
Few weeks. Yeah, out there doing that about every other day.
Oh my God. Like the full 8-hour, 12-hour trip every other day.
Yeah, one of them was even more intense because I thought, this is just how I am. I thought, I'm going to try not to puke. Keep it in. I was fucked for maybe 30 hours.
Oh, so you succeeded in not puking?
I did. Yeah, of course.
The purging that they call it.
Yeah.
You didn't purge?
No.
Wow.
So I could feel this stuff, and I think everything that you do is just meant to how you're supposed to do it. But I did it a couple times, and I was doing my own thing, and probably the fifth or sixth time I thought, I wonder what it'd be like if I don't puke this up.
So you just get the full hit of it. Did you
I got the full head of it.
Did you like work through anything? Like, because obviously it's transformative. I've done DMT, but like that's 15 minutes of blast you into space. And even after that, I was a different person, like, and have been a different person since then. But like what you're talking about is a full DMT trip for 8 to 10 hours.
The next day, yeah. When I swallowed it, it took for a very long time. It took basically, I wasn't eating. I was on a fast for weeks, and I had no food and water in me. So I don't know why if this has anything to do with it, because I don't really know, but it took forever to digest. So it was, as long as it was in my body, I was completely twisted. I couldn't even walk, but I really didn't mind. I was in the middle of the jungle with nothing to do and nowhere to be, so it wasn't a big deal. But yeah, I could feel the, you know, they don't say it's true that you have all those intestines, you know, that the food goes through. I could feel this shit every inch of the way.
You could feel it moving.
Yeah. It was almost like a hot fire, which is, I was really into this idea. It was almost like a hot fire. I could feel this thing just worming around before. And I kept trying to go to the bathroom every day, every hour. I mean, multiple times a day. And it just wasn't happening.
Just wasn't budging. It was making its own.
It's going at its own pace. So I was like, you know what? You're going at your own pace. I'm just going to lay down in the river. Didn't even have any clothes on. I just went out in the river and just laid out by the side.
When was this?
This is hilarious. But I have definitely some holes burned in my brain from this funny experiences. My friend Alan Vicky, that they do Bloodstock.
Yeah. I know him.
Yeah.
He's a big lifter as well.
Yeah, I love both of them. We've been crashing at their house since the very first time we went over there. Awesome people, you know, super supportive. When only 5 people support your band, you just become friends with those 5 people.
Yeah.
So the list is short, and I was at their house, and we were doing Bloodstock that year, and I think it was 17. It was right after La Petite Mort came out, and we did the Bloodstock Festival. And I flew right from the Bloodstock Festival to the Peru.
Damn.
So I still have this strange, it was a life-changing few weeks, right? But before I left, this is just something really stupid, but I did my laundry at their house. So I just have their laundry detergent smell burned into my memory.
Because it was over the whole experience.
Because I had these clothes for weeks, and that's all I had, and it's really different than, you know, American detergent or American. Doesn't smell like anything to me.
I know exactly.
You know what I mean? There's that English humidity of
how did it dry?
The fucking dry doesn't dry. It just waits. It doesn't. The clothing doesn't dry. It just waits to be worn. I was laying there the whole time with these clothes on, and I just have this funny scent of that is not very interesting or not very deep, but it just made me think of that. But
no, it's funny because smells bring you back.
It does. So when this is another strange thing, since we're just rambling off shit, is one of the times I was just running my own experiments. You know what I mean? I was there to do this internal work, and I felt compelled to go, and this calling and all this stuff, and it was a spiritual experience, and we can get to that, but I was like going out, you know, I've never been drunk, I've never been high. So, but when I see someone get drunk, they kind of know they're drunk because they'll tell you, they'll look at you and be like, I'm fucked up. Yeah. You know what I mean? When I did this shit, I didn't even know I was a human or anything. I didn't even have I was completely stepped outside of the construct, I guess. Right. So I didn't have any clue what was happening. So I had a recorder with me, a little Tascam or something, one track, whatever. And I was like, I'm going to press record on my next ceremony. And when I lay down, just going to wake up the next day and listen to what happened, see if I said anything, did anything, listen to the songs that they sing, because the ceremonial songs, he would sing all night until the next morning. I put a small piece of that at the beginning of this song called Heartbeats that we have. It's on our 3rd record called Suicide King. And that's the shaman's voice. So whenever we play that, and it kind of comes over it's the intro. So it comes over the ears, the PA in the ears. I get this flash, you know. It's the same thing with the laundry smell, but whenever that Peruvian song comes before that, it gives me this little thing, you know.
Like takes you back there.
Yeah, but that's not very deep shit. That's just very superficial, fun stuff, you know.
How do you mean? Like
this one, the smell of laundry detergent, and the
other one was definitely cooler than the laundry one. But the laundry one is like, for me, as someone from the UK that's moved here, like I know exactly the smell you're talking about because I haven't smelled it in months.
Yeah,
coming to the States, I joke that my number one reason to come into the States was for drying my clothes.
You can actually do it in a day.
But like, I love it. Like when that little noise goes, dun, 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 I'm like, fuck, my clothes are dry now. Like I started this 3 hours ago. We're good.
It's crazy. Forced air.
It's fucking crazy.
It was interesting to me. That's why I brought it up, because you're from the UK, so you would get it.
Oh,
also put a time on it. I was thinking, when did we play Bloodstock the first time? That was the 17th. So that's when I went over there. That's when I did all that.
Is Bloodstock one of the ones that you didn't get to play another time? Download? I was supposed to see you.
It was download, primarily download, yeah.
Download. Who got arrested? You got arrested?
Me and Gene, yeah.
At the airport?
Yeah, we thought we were cool. We thought we were about to leave the country for the first time, do all this stuff and have all this fun. Didn't even know what London was, or, or the UK or whatever. And we just pulled up and got pinched immediately.
Was it like, and you can just tell me if you don't want to go into this, but like, was it you were wanted for something and you put your passport details in at the airport and they had to phone the police, or did this happen really soon and you went straight to the airport?
We were wanted for something we didn't know about. So we were always getting into trouble. I don't care to go into it. I don't mind going into it because it's all public.
Yeah.
That's another side note I would say is half of the shit that I talk about is all, you could Google it. You know what I mean? If I talk about, say in music, sometimes I'll bring something up and people will be like, he's boasting or bragging about criminal things. All the things I talk about are public. So I don't really think it's boasting or bragging. It's just what it is.
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't think it was bragging. I just meant if it's something you can't talk about. Like
No.
I don't know how law in America works different. Like if the charges get dropped or you get found innocent, you could literally come out the next day and go, I did that. And because you've already been tried, you can't get tried again.
Yeah. It's been a lot of years now. I don't even think I did what they were saying I did. But we didn't know that at the time. When we pulled up to do the download, the flight, they were waiting on before we even got into the airport. It was like on the deck, on the sidewalk. A bunch of undercover people in regular clothing. It looked like a fake movie where they got some people with the clothing and doing the thing.
That's crazy.
And I didn't really even know what it was. I obviously wasn't trying to flee the country to play a 100,000 person festival. That wouldn't be my goal if I were fleeing the country. It wouldn't be to bring 30 cases of instruments
and go in front of 100,000 people.
Yeah,
be more undercover. Peru, probably.
Yeah, that would be it. But it was for something that we did in the past. I didn't really know this because around this time we were doing a lot of shit, kicking up a lot of dust, getting into trouble. Yeah. Didn't really have anything going on in life. We were just gang banging and having fun. And this was on the very cusp of us getting signed and putting out a record and all this other stuff. So this would have been the first year of that.
So pre Roadrunner.
This whole occasion would have been pre Roadrunner. So Roadrunner picks us up, we do this record and all this other stuff. But the thing that ended up coming up was some old thing where someone got messed up in something and it was 6-8 months old, and then they finally got around to issuing some type of warrant. And we didn't know because I don't know about you, but I don't constantly have someone checking if I have warrants out. You know what I mean? Lawyer retainers are pretty expensive. I don't really have someone checking on that every week. I didn't at the time anyway. And so we were just flying over, thought it was all good, but apparently it wasn't because they had recently issued a warrant out for this assault or something goofy. And no, had we known, we would have just gotten ahead of it and try to get it taken care of before we left, but we didn't know. And so they thought we were trying to creep off.
Yeah, so you must have been on like no-fly list and not even known it.
Yeah, didn't know it. And they thought we were trying to flee. In my opinion, I don't flee, so I wouldn't have fleed over that anyway, because in my opinion, it was petty. But I didn't know what it was for, though. Around this time, there was, our group of friends, there was, there's shootings, stabbings, killings, da-da-da-da-da. So when they arrested us, I thought it was serious, like someone died or something, because it
It was I thought it was one of the other things.
Right. Yeah. So we kind of were just sitting there as you do when you're getting arrested, you don't start asking what this might be for.
Because they'll be like, what do you mean? There's more?
Yeah, I just kind of sat there, waited it out.
As ever, this episode is brought to you by the lovely people at Display, who again have helped me integral in making this studio and my new apartment look awesome as frig. Display make metal posters. They mount on the wall with a magnet. There's no drilling, there's no mess, there's no pulling off your wall, there's no getting in trouble with your landlord. Type in whatever rubbish little hobby you have into display.com and I guarantee you they are going to have a metal poster in a variety of sizes just for you. We also have a Downbeat store with all the designs that you can see on the podcast. Listeners of the Downbeat podcast can get a whopping 22% off 1 to 2 displays or 33% off 3 or more by going to display.com/the Downbeat and use the code Downbeat. That works across the whole store. You don't even have to get my ones. Display.com/the Downbeat. Check it out.
You wait a few days. There's no such thing as due process in Flint, Michigan. So, you wait a few days and you find out it's something goofy, and it sucked. It was an absolute celebration when we got into jail because everyone was just, they love to have you. But
wait, what do you mean by that?
If you're doing something in life and then you go to jail, you're like a hero. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah. Well, we already were not heroes, but known
in Flint.
Yeah, it's a small. It's not big. It's 90,000 people. So we were already known to that degree. Plus, half of my friends and family are in jail. So there's more of them in there than there's out here to hang out with. But even if they didn't know us, when the police they try to make a big deal out of everything you do, which is fine, but they try to, put your story out there and act like, they got you. But when people found out that we were supposed to be doing something cool like that, they just thought, this is awesome to have him in here and shit. And, like some people are like, come look at my cell. I got the whole lyrics to this murder carved in my wall. You know what I'm saying? And they got all these tattoos and like, look at my king shit. You know what I mean? There's like a bunch of people in there that have all that stuff going on. So they were way happier that we were there than we were at the show. But at the same time, they were like, get these motherfuckers out of here. They don't belong in here, stuff like that. But after a little while, we got out, and then we just spent the first year of tour flying home on off days to go to court and keep doing that type of thing, which I didn't really mind. It was fine.
Just what you got to do.
This is what you got to do. But I was just happy to be doing the shit, like if you're on tour with Korn and Slipknot and every band that you like, going to court on an off day is not really going to damper it's not going to take the wind out of my sails. I was walking in court like I owned the court.
In a Slipknot mask.
Yeah, exactly.
What's up, motherfuckers?
Just got back from Birmingham, did 16,000,
Why are we in here again? I can't remember which one.
I don't even know what this is. Yeah.
Fuck, that's nuts. Before we get off the ayahuasca thing, did you go there with a plan? Because a lot of people that I know that have gone and done the retreat, they have something real bad in their brain, and this is like last resort
Usually
stuff.
like addiction or something like that or something.
And like that's what made me think. And you don't do drugs?
No, I would put another disclaimer in front of this. I wasn't thrill seeking because I have a few psychologist friends and also just a few friends that psychologize, and they are under the impression sometimes that I have this kind of adrenaline thrill seeking thing, but I'm not really sure I agree with that. I'm kind of completely at peace, and I don't, there's nothing in me that's like a thrill junkie, even though I do crazy shit, but it's not for an elevated heart rate, really. Yeah. It's more about curiosity than it is about, let me have I'm not jumping out of a plane to get a quick heart rate. I can get a quick heart rate by going on a run. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not really adrenaline. It's more just exploration and curiosity and just intuition and calling. So I just have a calling to do things and just follow that. I've said this before, but I just get out of my own way. That's why earlier when you said you want to have a gym session, I was in the gym. I just left the gym. I just left the gym, did an hour session probably on the leg press because it was the Planet Fitness, We love them, but they don't got much going on in there, right? So I'll do 2,000 reps on a leg press machine or something for a leg day or something. But then when you hit me up, you're like, you sure I can't interest you in a deadlift? I just can't say
Something
no.
in your brain.
Yeah. So, and it's not like egotistical, like I'm going to, do whatever. It's more just like, I just follow whatever comes up as what I should do. And when someone says something to me, like if you were to say something like, you sure you can't interest the deadlift? I might have got the notion of, no, not interested. And then I would have followed that.
Yeah.
I'm not just, running around trying to do shit, but I think I went there because I was called there to go there. And I can't explicitly say why, I guess, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard one time I was in Spain and I went for the San Fermin Festival, the running of the bulls. So, because I wanted to do that, and I did that for 10 days, and I heard this guy near me, and he was talking to a camera, or a news camera. He was doing an interview or whatever, and he said something like, I can't really explain what this does, but I know that it informs every decision I make after doing it.
So you went and did the running of the bulls?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that's the thing where they just let a bunch of bulls loose and you run away from them.
You run with them, yeah. And away if you're scared or going to get gored, but you run alongside them, and then you run into the ring in the plaza, and then you run through the streets.
You sure you're not thrill seeking?
I just thought it was awesome.
Is that pre or post ayahuasca?
That's I think post ayahuasca, maybe.
Post ayahuasca.
Don't quote me on it, but I think it's post ayahuasca. But when that dude said that, I didn't know pre ayahuasca. I didn't know this, but I thought that's such a good way to put it. Spanish guy, and he just said the running with these bulls informs every decision I've made after since. That's the only way I can think about it. I don't really have any judgments for anyone. I didn't before I went. I don't have any, although I am, not perfect and funny and whatever, but I don't have any recommendations that everyone should do it. I don't have any recommendations that they shouldn't. I don't really know, because I think you should just figure your own. I don't.
Yeah.
I just go with I only ask myself about me. I don't know what people should do, to be honest, but it's really hard to explain. And I don't want to be like, I come back and I know there's God now and da 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 da.
Yeah.
I'm not like that anyway. I knew there was God before I went, and I'll always know there is. But that's just this soul's idea that came into this body, that did this life. This is just how he feels. So that's just kind of what I think about it. But I don't have any short little clip to say where it could sell the idea or discourage or even encourage someone to do it.
Yeah.
I would only say that you should maybe survey yourself, and if you think you should, or if you have this calling to try it, I would say don't put too much faith in it, or don't think it's going to save your life. That's one issue I have a problem with is I think people go there thinking it's going to save their life, and they either come back saying, I know that God's real, and I've seen this, and I know there's more to this, and that helps them, and that's cool for that's because again, it's their life. Or they say, oh yeah, I tried that shit and it didn't work, and da 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 da.
I'm still addicted to heroin or whatever.
Yeah, and I don't really believe in that. And at the same time, being a practicing magician, and I don't believe in this transfixation on inebriation or like drug assisted it's kind of like a crutch. I don't believe that there's anything. Well, it's not a belief. It's true that there's nothing that the chemical does to your brain that you can't do to your brain yourself, because that's how chemical receptors work. Obviously it wouldn't work if you didn't have receptors to bind to these DMT chemicals that are endogenously produced in your brain. I don't really know how to say it, but because this also sounds like I'm against it. I'm not really against it, but I don't think that I come from the school of thought of magic that you don't need to use drugs to get to where you're going, basically.
So not Crowley then, because he was big on...
He's a bit of a wild guy, right?
Yeah, and he's big on the inebriation part of the rituals.
Yeah.
Was.
Yeah, and I don't have any problems with him. I appreciate everything he's done and things like that, but I don't think that should be your primary. So if you're looking to understand, more subtle realms, subtle bodies, these types of things, you need to hone and sharpen your senses and your intuition and your ability to perceive the things that aren't as thick 3D density kind of things. The way to do that's not to be on drugs. It's a shortcut and it does get you there. But the best way I've heard it is it's almost like drunk driving. Like you're there, but you're a little bit buzzed behind the wheel and you're not necessarily there of your own will, volition, or faculties.
Yeah.
You can get a bunch of, it's a cheat code, and you can get a bunch of insight. And I'm not saying that no one should do it or that I'm against it or even have any judgments for anyone to do it. But I don't believe in the primary method of I'm a magician or a initiate or a shaman or whatever it may be. And what I do is get high to get my visions. I don't believe in that being the primary thing. I think you need a foundation of intuition, of just perception, senses, developing divine senses, ways to divine. I'm not talking about divine like spiritual. I mean ways to divine things like a divining method.
Yeah.
I think you should focus on that first before you start playing with substances,
Yeah, it should be like a tool to try once you've already been initiated into it. Have you done like breathwork stuff before?
Yeah.
That's the one way that I literally, so I've done DMT, I've been there, I've been to that realm, but with, in particular, that Wim Hof breathing stuff, the ice guy, I don't do the ice stuff, but the breathing, I can almost every time hit full, like, third eye open hallucinations just from breathing.
Yeah.
And I've had some crazy, insane visions. Like, I had one, like, it was like, not necessarily like spiritual or any of that stuff, but I had one and it was literally like, I was at the Empire State Building. Like, I was there and I was in an elevator at the Empire State Building. I'd never been to the Empire State Building. And it was just like at the end of my breath work and I had this like weird trip out thing. And then I come back and that's it. And I was like, oh, that was crazy. But I was used to it because I would always go to these weird dream states and there would be like a situation or whatever. Sometimes it would be something completely random. And then afterwards I'd be like, oh, I need to focus on this more in my life. It's like the vision was nothing to do with that. But then post vision, it comes up in my head.
Yeah.
You're nodding like
you just know it.
Yeah.
100%.
But then I went to the Empire State Building for the first time. And I'm in the elevator. Oh, I just got chills thinking about it. I'm in the elevator and I got deja vu. And I was like, oh, deja vu. And I was like, no, wait. I was in my bathtub in Glasgow last time I was here. And I was fucking there. It was the strangest fucking thing.
I don't think it's strange. I think that's the real world and this is the dream. So I think you were there and I think you were there again. And if you want, you can go back there. But everything is spiritual, and it was showing you that for that reason to trigger that thing that came from it. And that's what I'm talking about when I say things like intuition or a knowing or something like that. I'm not talking about going and reading someone's book and then just repeating what they said.
Yeah.
You got the message that you were supposed to get from the vision that you were supposed to see, from the breath work that you were supposed to be doing, and it told you the thing you were supposed to know at the time through your own kind of spirit's mechanism, through the own tools of what you know, have known, whatever it may be. If I go to the Empire State Building, it's going to mean something totally different. But for you, with your toolbox, with your toolkit, with your spiritual things that are happening, you're shown the stuff you're supposed to be shown for the thing that you're supposed to be doing or knowing, or the thing that might even trigger it. Like you said, it doesn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
You just know though.
Yeah.
You knew what you were supposed to do, what you could have done, should have done, would have done, whatever. And then when you went back, you knew that you were there before. And that's pretty much what everyone for thousands of years has been talking about, that we spend our lives trying to disprove. But I really don't care about what people say about this sounds woo-woo or this sounds whatever.
I'm all in on woo-woo.
Yeah.
I can go all day on woo-woo.
I just don't understand when people are going to admit that the woo-woo conversation's been over with. All the stuff that they were calling woo-woo in the 80s became scientific facts in the 90s.
Yeah.
Everything they called woo-woo in the 90s is a bona fide fact in the 2000s.
Yeah. Alchemy and magic back in the day became science.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's weird. And nowadays they're like, well, what they were doing wasn't science. This is science. And it's like, well, you might want to wonder which one of you is the scientist.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure the Pfizer is not the scientist in this equation.
Yeah.
Just a guess. I don't know. Just guessing. I'd rather go with Paracelsus or something like that.
While we're on this subject, because I got questions on it. Because number one, you've just answered one of my questions, which is that you do believe in God. But I do want to delve deeper. We're going to talk about music at some point. Shut the fuck up. I do want to talk about spirituality. I know we've just talked about it for like 10 minutes, but more specifically, I can't figure out, because we don't know each other other than the gym session, but I'm a fan of your band. I'm a fan of your lyrics. Big fan of your lyrics. Thanks. And but I can't figure it out, because you talk about God a lot. So I assume you believe in a God, but I don't know Catholic God, any of that stuff.
Absolutely not.
Didn't think so. But I want to delve into that. You mention Brahma more than a couple of times.
Yeah.
Which is a Hindu god. You say on the song Red Queen, I'm here for Satan. So I'm finding out what team you're on. And then you got some voodoo stuff in there.
Yeah.
Take It. You literally...
So you actually listen to these songs.
Yes.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So Take It, you literally open asking Papa Legba to open the gates. Papa Legba being a voodoo.
He's the keeper of the crossroads, the person that you contact to get to the other side. But the Christians just call him St. Peter. He's the gatekeeper, the guy that holds all the keys.
St. Peter. So where do you stand?
You want me to give you an elevator pitch?
No. You can give slightly longer than an elevator pitch. I'm just interested.
I appreciate all the religions. I appreciate all the religions hate when you say this, but I think they're all right and all wrong, and I'm not on anyone's side, and that's what they hate. It's the same with politics. When you say I don't like the liberals or I don't like the Republicans, and they think I don't like either of them, or I like either of them as well. I'd have no problems. I don't have any dislikes or likes any more than one over the next. If you want to talk about Hinduism, I can talk about that a little bit. If you want to talk about Catholicism, I can do that, or whatever you pick. I got into this as a kid. Like I said, paganism, Wicca, things like that, around a really young age. And again, it was a calling. It's what the people around me were doing. And when I was very young, I was in a gang doing the street violence and all this other stuff, but I was also doing the witchcraft, which is, it's funny if you think that humans are like movie characters where they only are just one thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make much sense to be like, this is a gangbanging Wiccan. But
it's kind of fucking sick.
But now that I think about it, I've never thought about this until I just said it out loud. It is pretty sick, isn't it?
It's so fucking sick.
I don't know. Maybe I just watched The Crow too much as a kid.
Yeah.
But no, I think it was just because I grew up in Flint and that's what was around me. And
Flint, Michigan, Wiccan hotspot.
I must have just been in the right place at the right time. But I don't really think, I don't think it's a Wiccan hotspot. I think it was just again, the spirit came into the body. I'm just following the rules and where I'm going, doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and what I'm going where I'm supposed to be going, and saying what I'm supposed to be saying. I was into that for several years. The paganism, Wiccanism. I'm still into it. I out of it because I believe that it's all right. You know, I first got into the Gerald Gardner. I have to shout out the UK OG of this Wiccan shit. And early on, child, 11 years old or something, doing barefoot rituals out in the yard, and which is hilarious because now that's like a health hack. You see,
the grounding
dudes out here just grounding. It's like,
yeah. Oh, you wonder why that works?
Yeah.
It's been happening.
Yeah. They call the bottom of the foot the soul. So just think about it. I did that for 5-6 years.
Who with? Who's hanging out?
Me and my friends out in the woods.
Yeah.
Making things happen.
Yeah, see.
We had to make things happen. So we're doing that. We're doing a little gangbanging. We're doing a little witchcraft. You know, shit is awesome. I didn't realize it was this awesome until I said it out loud.
Oh, it's awesome.
I just realized I never really talk about this because I think because no one asks. Mm-hmm. When we first,
it's my number one most interested thing when I read your lyrics. I'm like, this guy's either into demonology, he's into Wicca, he's into voodoo, or he's into all of it.
All of it, yeah. But I don't like to say all of it because it just probably means like, I don't think I'm a master of any kind, but it just sounds like I just call them tourists, people that kind of pick up a Wiccan book from Scott Cunningham and they're like...
With really nice art on it.
Yeah, and they visit for a few weeks and they light a green candle, put it on their windowsill, think they're going to get some cash later. I don't, that's not what I'm talking about. But as I got older, maybe late teens-ish, I got into voodoo because I dated a girl from Haiti and that was what she was into. This was 20s. Now we're going into the 20s, and I was interested in this before. I kind of think I manifested her or something, not to be corny, but
I get it.
So I was into this as a very materialistic religion, and I was super initiated into it for years, and that was my practice. And so I moved kind of from the rudimentary paganism into voodoo for a long time, and I liked that place and I liked the space, and I kind of evolved from that into, I don't want to, almost Hermeticism. I would say it started with Thelema and the the Golden Dawn and the AA and Temple of the Silver Star and stuff like that. All the Thelema stuff based on the Golden Dawn stuff. And then Crowley's kind of like the famous dude everyone knows.
That's all where I started getting into it as well. It's like when you just think him and then you go, okay, let me go into that.
I always tell people that start talking about Crowley, I'm like, I appreciate the guy. I'm not saying anything. But Crowley is not even on my top list of top 100 magicians. So I have to say that I just say that to people so maybe they dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
I feel like Crowley is a response. I feel like he's misunderstood, like most people that have half of a common sense. But I feel like Crowley is almost like the Baphomet poster child for a rebellious and disquieted youth.
Yeah, but that's why we all start there.
Right. You want to like,
where do I go?
Okay. Because he calls himself like the wickedest man on earth, and the beast.
And it is like very well branded.
Yeah. and he has great PR in that regard. Although there are plenty more wicked people. I mean, in our American government system.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I kind of gravitated towards Hermetic Teachings, which I'd always been into. The Greek stuff, Egyptian stuff as a kid, reading books on that in the library. But when I became into the practice, it eventually evolved into the Hermetic stuff, which I feel like Thelema is a bit of a grab bag of a bunch of different stuff, primarily Egyptian, Judaism, mystical Kabbalistic Judaism, not necessarily Judaism as in Jews or Christians or things like that. But I felt like Hermetics were a bit more, I don't know how to say this because it all sounds pretty goofy saying it. There are things that magical systems teach that are true and they're verifiable, but I don't really give any credence, and this goes for Christianity, Hinduism, everyone. I don't think that they own that idea or that they created that idea. I think they're corroborating it and it predates them.
Yeah.
So if the idea of as above, so below, right, is in the Hermetics, it doesn't mean if you believe as above, so below, then you're a Hermeticist. You know what I mean? There are 100 orders of Hermeticists and out there, and it's the same with anything else. If you most people, you ask if they believe in God, and they say, yeah. It's like, okay, so you're a Christian. It's kind of the question where you can't really answer it. So if I'm sitting at a show and someone asks me, so do you believe in God or not? I don't believe in having this conversation with you. No. See, that's what I'm saying. I'm not at a show. We're sitting here. This is what we're trying to hash some things out. If you're 2 beers deep at the bar at a show and a band's playing, asking me about God.
Yeah, you're not getting the answer.
No, you're not going to get a good answer, one you care about, one you like. I appreciate all of the religions. I actually try to make an effort to, I don't want to say defend or justify, because I think there's just as much bad about religion as there is good in this modern day. I don't think that's how it started. Like, for example, the Christian teaching is called Christian, and nothing about Christianity is Christ-like.
Yeah.
And
they lost that a while ago.
I hear people kind of like biblical apologists out there, even ones I like, the ones that I really like. I listen to their lectures. I just like stuff about biblical stories. I know that, again, when I say biblical stories, those aren't, the origin of the story wasn't the Bible.
No,
those are derivatives. Yeah.
It's why every single religion has insane parallels. Like the same story with different names, places.
Exactly. If I say, if we're talking in Hindu and I say Krishna, I could just talk in Christian and say Jesus.
Yeah.
Or if I was in Egypt, I would just call him Osiris. So it's all the same person, but it's not necessarily, I'm not against any of these things or for them. And when I listen to a lot of the people, the apologists, I don't necessarily jive with the apologists, how they explain away things. I'll just give you an example. One who I found his lectures. This is actually pretty funny. I found some lectures, Jungian lectures, by Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
I have.
Cool Canadian guy. And a long time ago, about 10 years ago, before he was not even popular, I found his Jungian lectures for the University of Toronto psychology classes. They were free.
I know
YouTube.
these.
Yeah.
He had me on these, and then he went crazy, and I was like, I think I'm off this guy now.
Oh, really? I appreciate him. But I found these Jungian lectures, which any magician is into Jung.
Yeah.
He's like a cornerstone to magic, and for anyone with it's not necessary and it's not required. I'm not saying that, but like westernized magicians in America, especially, and in Europe. So I'm listening to these cool lectures, and he has this idea that I hear him. He has biblical lectures too, and they're pretty good. I like listening to those as well. Although I don't agree with 50% of the shit he says, but I'm not really listening to shit for validation or to get a yes man or an attaboy or a pat on the back or like you're thinking the right things. I'm listening to people's ideas because I just want to hear their ideas. Like when you listen to a song, you're listening to people's ideas. I don't give a fuck if I agree with you or disagree with you. I don't even care what you think. I'm listening to the ideas, and it doesn't have anything to do with you as a person or me as a person. But he says this thing, and I don't even mean to bring it up. It just kind of popped in my head where he says that Christianity is this really great idea. I'm paraphrasing him because it lasted so long, and this idea wouldn't have stuck around for so long if it weren't such a profound idea. And he's right that it has stuck around because it is a profound idea. But the idea that stuck around is not Christian. Yeah. It predates that. And also the Christian idea stuck around through genocide. So it didn't stick around because it was great. It stuck around
for the Crusades.
Force.
Yeah.
And it's still today stuck around through force. And that's why big religious institutions like the Catholic Vatican or whatever, they choose a side in every war and fund a side in every war. They're one of the biggest propagators of this stuff. And it doesn't matter if you have reasons or justifications for it. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying your ideas are surviving through force. And even when they're not surviving through force, it's sublimated warfare. So like when we go to vote, that's sublimated warfare. That we're voting because we're not actually drawing swords anymore. Yeah. We're having intellectual conversations in schools because we're not actually doing duels anymore. This is all just sublimated warfare. And it's the same with finance. And that's where they put these finances in places to, it's just financial warfare to propagate these ideas, which again, I don't have any judgments for that. That's fine. But circling it back, I appreciate all the religions. I try to make everything right as far as when I hear something, I'm like, well, how could that maybe be true or right? Not like it's about being right or wrong, but true, I guess, or what might resonate with me. But and a lot of religions you'll find after you dive into a bunch are pretty consistently similar. There's not too many. I always actually think it's funny to bring up how similar some are. Like people make fun of Mormons, for example, right? Joseph. Is it Joseph that found the tablets, started Mormonism in Utah-ish?
Yes. I don't know if it's Joseph, but that is Mormons. Found the tablets.
Okay. But
refound the tablets later on.
Right. And they think that's so crazy. Or Scientology is another one where, the science fiction wrote some books and there's these levels of whatever and all this other stuff. And they think that's really crazy and it's cool to make fun of as well. But what is Islam? Muhammad was an illiterate man sitting in a cave that received a vision from an angel that a scribe wrote that he described. It happened a little longer ago than Joseph, but it's not any different. And that's the fastest growing religion in the world.
Also true for Thelema, because that was given to him by an angel and he transcribed it again. Like Crowley went down that route as well, of someone else told me to write this. It's like that's just the go-to.
Yeah, and when I say stuff like that, I'm not like condescending because I believe obviously in angels and even speaking to them. I can't verify these things for these people, but it's not for me to verify. They know what the hell they know. And, if Crowley says he was visited by his holy guardian angel that he calls Ayahuasca in the Great Pyramid, then that's his business. Yeah. It's not up to me to verify. I tend to think that he's telling the truth only because you can verify these things through your own practice. You don't need to take people's word for them. So anyway, I got a little bit off, but the Hermetics and just developing a practice, and a lot of the things I like about the Hermetic stuff is with Helena Blavatsky, she kind of made this theosophy order, which was she included a lot of valuable parts of the religion aspect, different ones, like some Christian Catholic, but a lot of Hindu and Indian stuff. And I just think there's more to it. I don't think we understand it in the West as much. We look at these like elaborate, weird stories, but I just think that's because our story was kind of circumcised, no pun intended, and neutered to make it less elaborate. So when we read the Bible, it's not as fantastical. Although if you go to some parts, it does get pretty wicked and wild. But yeah, I just I appreciate all of it. I don't, picking up on some of the questions that you asked before, the God, yeah, of course, there's no way you can believe in a devil without a God.
Yeah, that's what I always tell people when they're like, what do you mean you believe in God? And I'm like, well,
you have to.
Yeah. But I don't know I personally don't know what God is.
Yeah, it's okay if he's inconceivable. Yeah. I think you don't have to know to know.
I certainly don't think it's the Christian God.
They might have got a bit carried away with that.
Yeah.
But I don't really hold that against them. When I say things like I'm here for Satan. I think people get confused because I'm not really a devil worshiper. I never claimed to be. And of course, why would I want to be a worshiper of the guy that's losing or going to lose and will always lose? Because Satan, the thing that we call Satan, it doesn't really make any sense. That's from the Arabic word called shaitan. And in the Babylonian times and the pre-Akkadian times, they called him Ahriman. And sometimes they call him Lucifer, although Lucifer and Satan are two different people. And he's called a bunch of things: the son of the morning, the light bearer, things like this. When you hear someone called the light bearer or the son of the morning, do you think evil?
No.
So it doesn't really add up. And then you realize, aside from people comment and act like this is so crazy or that I'm so ignorant for saying this, but I'm thoroughly convinced, it's my own opinion, that 40% of the stuff that we believe or we think we know is fiction. Not in a sense of like when I read the Bible, it's fiction. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Lucifer's characteristics are more taken from Milton's Paradise Lost and Dante's Inferno than they are the true religions of the world. And that's weird because you know that it's not accidental. It's a PR campaign. I really, truly believe that it's not an accident that we identify Lucifer as a horned,
evil,
pointy-tailed.
Yeah. Only turned red in 1200 or something. That one painter painted him red, and then everyone was like, "Well, that's the color of the devil now." Yeah,
I don't really believe that. I like the idea of the Ahriman, who is, they call him evil, but in my opinion, evil only exists in this third density world that we have. When someone, say, kills kids, we're like, they're evil. Yeah. But if someone steals something, they're like, they're not evil, they're just poor. We have all these opinions about evil, but I don't think evil is, say we're on this 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, this plane that goes up. Evil doesn't go very high.
Yeah.
It just can't, because I think evil is a consequence of ignorance, and ignorance is a consequence of unbalanced. And that's what the devil that we know, the thing called Lucifer, or the thing that they used to call Ahriman, he was imbalanced in that he was wholly or lopsidedly materialistic. That's why we call them carnal pleasures, or things of the earth are materialistic. That's why they say that this is the devil's playground and God is in heaven, because this is where all of his manifestations and things.
The physical realm's the only place evil could be anyway.
Yeah. It doesn't get very high. When we talk about Satanism or materialism or whatever it may be, there's a bunch of people have different definitions of it, which I can't really speak to because I don't know everyone on earth. But he's just an imbalanced, more material-oriented type of, I guess, manifestation, because it's just, you have to have a human being to have evil, right? Yeah. Someone has to do something evil. It's not like love. If you have no human being, love still exists. This is my opinion. People are just going to say this is stupid, but evil isn't, you need an act.
Well, yeah, because love can be in a memory. Love can be
anything.
Yeah.
And you can have a feeling of love. Can you have a feeling of evil, or can you have an effect of
maybe when you're killing the baby? Maybe.
I don't think you can feel evil. I think it's all a byproduct of, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't really try to get into the motives about that. But I guess the way that I would put it is, it's just a little bit imbalanced, and that's what I think about when I think of Lucifer, devil, or whatever. Although I also believe a few things that I just don't think are true. Like, in a way, and this is just for fun. This is not for anyone that's a biblical scholar to sit and argue about. But you could say that Lucifer was the most loyal angel because, and this is what I like about Harry Potter, besides being a witch, and I'll tell this devil story up front, and I'll tell the Harry Potter one, which I just appreciate. The devil was so loyal to God that he refused to serve man even when he commanded him to. How much more loyalty could you ask for?
Yeah.
He was even willing to sacrifice himself because he said, I only serve you. I'm not serving those people. And he paid for it. And, you know, he's still paying for it in that story, in that Christian story, which I just love that. My hair stands up when I say it. But it was the same in the Christian story. If you can, people don't really know this, but Judas has a gospel. Mary has a gospel. There are plenty of apocrypha gospels that didn't make it into the Bible. The thing I like about Judas's gospel and in the gospel of Thomas, which is also an apocrypha, and the Harry Potter parallel is we call Judas an Iscariot. We call him the turncoat. I believe Christ had other disciples named Judas, but the one that supposedly snitched on him for $50.
Yeah.
Although he was, some said, the most talented of his disciples, his most favorite, and the closest to him, besides Mary, who he was with. And I believe when he was sitting there in the tent and he said, one of you will betray me, I believe he was giving an order. And the only one true enough to him to set him up, because Christ knew he had to die, was Judas, and no one else would. Thomas wasn't going to do it. And
were you about to say pussy?
Yeah. Sorry, Thomas.
Trying to be
I love your book,
Thomas. You're a fucking pussy.
I love your book, buddy, but you just didn't have it. And it was Snape and Dumbledore. It was the same thing. The only one that would kill Dumbledore and take the hate of everyone in the whole saga was Snape, even though he was on their team. And it was the same with Judas, I believe. Jesus was not surprised and caught off guard. Jesus knew what he came to earth for, and he knew that he had to die in the way that he had to die. Or at least that he had to know that we had to know that he had to die in the way he had to die.
Yeah.
And when he said, one of you will betray me, he was saying, one of you will betray me. He wasn't giving a revelation. He was saying, who's going to do this? And Judas did it. He didn't do it for money. He doesn't need money. No, you know what I mean? These are followers of Christ.
Yeah.
If you choose to believe the story, some people will just be like, I don't know what you're fucking talking about. None of that shit's real. But I don't really care about that. If you read the Gospel of Judas, the Gospel of Thomas, and those types of things, it makes it very clear that Christ knew exactly what was going to happen, and he even outlines it. And I kind of got off track a little bit, but
I'm loving it, so don't worry about
it. I just think, you know, the devil is not some goofy person in a wine bottle trying to get you to do. It's easy to blame someone like that, but I don't think I'm possessed by the devil or doing any devil worship. Using the imagery, for example, sometimes we use that type of imagery. It's very obviously there's a reason behind all of it. I can't tell you what the reason is because we use it contextually, different, you know, in different contexts. Like we were talking about that song Noonday Demon earlier.
I wanted to get into that. We can get into that now because people are going to be so annoyed we haven't talked about music.
Oh yeah.
Noonday Demon.
It's about depression. Yeah, it has nothing. There's a tome of a book. It's clinical. I wouldn't recommend it. It's dry. Sorry, whoever wrote it. I don't recommend it. It's called the Noonday Demon. It's about depression. It's about the demon that visits you at noon. The idea of the song is about depression, although it does talk into more spiritual things. But it talks.
You mentioned Solomon in there. Let's hear Solomon. That was actually the giveaway. I was like, oh, this is a magic man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. Carry on. Noonday Demon.
So the name of the song is actually about depression, and I just thought it was poetic to, refer to this guy as the sunlit ghost, because that's to me what depression is. That's why it says the demon comes at noon, And it's not like a dark or a goofy whatever. It's way deeper than that. Anytime you listen to even though it's hilariously comical, like I'll say fuck and shit and bitch and stuff, and some of the king shit is like, I don't want to say satire, but almost like I don't want to say caricature either, because it's serious. But I don't write things on paper. So when I say things, it's how I would say them.
What do you mean you don't write on paper?
The songs. So obviously, if any person with common sense, and I have contrary to popular belief, I have like a tiny bit of common sense, right? If I'm sitting down and writing a song, and let me just pick funny lyrics, like in Alpha and Omega, I'll just say one that everyone knows.
It's my favorite song.
I'm not writing out bitch. I am the powers that be.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it.
Well, are you even writing I am the powers that be?
No, I'm not writing anything.
You don't write lyrics down?
No.
What?
It's just a play. You just do what you're supposed to do.
You just hit record?
Yeah. Well, I'll listen to the thing and I'll sit there and I might even write down just ideas, themes, some colors, some thoughts. I'll consider the similarities between Judas the Iscariot and Snape, and or just have a think, or have a meditation, or maybe even do some hypertrophic breathing or some, hatha or Raja yoga type of vibe. Kind of tap in. I'm listening to the music. I'm doing all that stuff, and then I just start building it and what I want to say, and then I say it naturally, which I could just be huffing my own farts, but it sounds natural the way that I say it.
That's why I'm so fucking shocked.
I think when you write something down, you lose it. And people just think that that's goofy. But when I read words on a page, nothing in me gets excited. Like lyrics, to songs. It's so goofy. And when you say it how you want to say it, and just with words without being, because we do the same thing when you're texting. You're editing as you're writing.
But that's because I'm stupid.
Yeah, no, but you know when you're putting together a piece of writing.
Yeah.
You're thinking about it. But when we're talking right now, I'm not thinking. I'm not thinking about anything. Yeah. Words are just coming out of my mouth, and that's what I want the songs to feel like. So the point of me saying that is I'm not writing some of this goofy shit out, and I'm just kind of letting it flow through. And now that I told you I wasn't thinking, I'm going to forget what the question was.
No, but we're just talking about Noonday Demon, and you told me you don't write lyrics down, and I cut you up because I need that info right now. I'm like, sometimes when you're singing, I guess it's singing.
Yeah, whatever.
Talking, screaming or whatever. Sometimes you sound like you're speaking human words, but there's like a rasp like you're speaking in tongues. And now you tell me that you don't write the words down. I'm like, oh, this motherfucker's conjuring shit.
Well, there's some conjuring in there for sure.
The ether.
I think maybe it's from spending too many years at voodoo ceremonies and things like that, to where now I'm really spitting, as the kids say.
You are though, mate. You are spitting.
Well, I also believe in the tone, or the timbre and the tonality of the words. That's what I'm saying. When you write something on paper, I appreciate poetry, because poetry is to be read. Songs are to be sang. They're not made to be written down. You're not supposed to fucking write that down. That's not what it's for. It kills it. And you think of verbs and adjectives. Oh, I put the in there. Why'd I put a? I might have to take a out. The syllabic value doesn't work with the line. There's 4 beats here. There's a 6. Why did I put a 3-syllable word before a 5? What is this, a fucking haiku? Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. When you're just talking and you hear the music and you start spitting, then you're like, why did my voice just change tone? It's because the music told it to. I'm not thinking, oh, what if I do a C note? I don't even know what a fucking C note is.
Surprised.
I know it's $100 bill, but I don't know what a C note or a B note or a D note,
It surprises me so much, because you're obviously well-read, well-spoken. I'd imagine that you wanted to get it down and perfect on paper. But
no,
this is cool. How long does it take you to track an album then? How long?
We just did our album in 4 hours.
Wait, so hang on. every lyric can't have been off the dome. Were these?
Oh no.
These were demoed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
So
you're like
to write one.
the most talented man on the planet.
If I have some music that I like, it doesn't take more than 30 minutes a song to finish from nothing to done to complete.
Damn, that's fast.
But it's hard to find a good piece of music that you appreciate, or to write one. You know, that's a little bit harder for me. I don't like. I just did a project. It was last year with Landon, my friend from Plot and You, and it's so sick. And this was maybe the easiest. It's the same when I work with Josh, where they'll write a piece of music that I just love, and I can do the vocals, lyrics, and performance in 10 minutes or something, pretty much. If I fall in love with the song, and it worked with him because they're both writers and producers, and it works that way with Josh for most of our records as well, especially, you know, since we've been working together since the very first record. Sometimes he'll be like, check this out, and I'll be like, it's done. Right, turn the mic on. That happens more times than it don't happen. But when something doesn't strike me, I'm just like, I just save that, put it in a folder for later, you know.
See if it strikes you at a different time.
Yeah, but the point is, I have this kind of thing, and when I think about something like Noonday Demon, the demon comes at noon, the singing of the tune, it just unpacks this thing, this kind of the scaffolding of thoughts. And I wanted to make it clear, I'm not talking about religion or science or things like that. I just go straight to the spiritual fact. With fact, to me, people will argue with this. I mean, people are getting killed for this right now in the middle over there. But when the opening line is, God gave me this life so I could fuck up. So I don't believe that anyone's going to hell or heaven or anything like that, because those ideas are just human ideas for Earth. God doesn't give a fuck about, you should do your best and you should be the best, whatever, but the human experience is to be experienced, and we wouldn't have all the good in the world if there wasn't all the evil in the world. And it shouldn't be your role to see if you can do all the evil that you can. I don't think. That's not what I'm telling people to do. That's not what I try to do anyway. But also, I don't believe evil and judgment and condemnation and hellfire and all the other stuff is waiting at the end of the road. And I don't believe this is the only life. Obviously, I think it's, when we were kids, reincarnation was like controversial. Now everyone just is like, yeah, the reincarnation thing.
Yeah.
Like it's just a coffee table talk. And
is that what you believe?
I know that it's true. Yeah.
No. Categorically no.
Yeah.
See, I don't know what I believe. How do you know?
Just experientially. Leaving your body, visiting other. A scientist person would just say that this is an imagination or a dream. But I would just say that the scientific person is the dream, and the dream is the real world. Some people call it astral travel or out of body. Or
that's what I think I did with the Empire State Building. But like, it was still me. But it was just me on a different timeline. Anyone
who is into this knows that. It's funny when people say it's still me, because you are you. So you have to understand, your name might not be Craig and your name might not be Reynolds, but you were Craig before you were Craig. And before that, you were Craig, a different Craig. Before that, it was a different Craig.
So this isn't life one. This is multiple
lives. This could be life one for you. I don't know. I haven't checked you out. We haven't ran your numbers yet. But what I'm saying is, in your last incarnation, you might not have had the painted nails and the hand tats, but you were still you. And this is just a human experience, and you're going through these expressions. And what would it be like if you were playing a video game where you had endless lives?
See, that's more what I think. But I would love to, at least in between lives, see what my true form is. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I die, I think I subscribe more to like simulation theory and how that links in with magic and everything, and the way that we can manipulate the world through thought and free will. I think my most the way that I can make that into logic in my brain is some kind of simulation theory.
I think that works for modern day age, but you will know, or you should know, that the Hindus just called it reincarnation, and so did the Chinese and everyone else on Earth. We Westerners that turn everything into a computer reference.
Yeah.
People believe Nicholas Bostrom wrote the simulation theory in the 90s, and that's what we're in. And it was a breakthrough in physics and a very cool quantum discovery.
Yeah, I guess it really is just reincarnation.
Right. But let me just, in the Bible, when he says there's nothing new under the sun, that's what he means. Yeah. He means you can call it, you can be a fan of Nicholas Bostrom, and you can say that the simulation theory is the simulation. You can love Ray Kurzweil and claim that he's going to download consciousness on a chip and everyone's going to be living forever. But Google can throw all that money to me because I got the answer, and we already are living forever.
I've never thought that it's just reincarnation without computers.
That's all we do is kind of computerize everything. So just think about, we call a massive amount of thoughts that come to us downloads. We call what is inside that computer memory. That computer has no memory. It never will. It just can't. That's not how things work. Memories aren't even stored in here. So how are they stored in there, right? We call the thing that we touch a keyboard. It's not a key to anything. You know what I mean? So we call it these, everything that we kind of computerize everything into that type of, thinking. So that's why we think simulation theory is so interesting, but it's not. There's pictures describing simulation theory carved in a wall in India, 7,000 years old. You can think about it differently or whatever. I don't know.
I think in a way, though, it does make more people be able to understand. Even I didn't even fucking put it 2 and 2 together with it being reincarnation, but like conceptually in this digital age, it is maybe a better gateway to thinking like that, because you all work with computers and stuff like that and just think, well,
that's the way of our language, right?
Yeah.
So I think of the Christians, that was their language, and the
and that's
Muslims,
why the story changes.
It was the Islams, the Indians, they had the Hindu, and this is their language and this is their thing. And the Egyptians had the Nile River and the things. This is the language of their time, and we can use the language of our time
it's just
too.
Less cool.
It's way less cool.
It's less cool.
Yeah.
Maybe in like 2,000 years, this will be cool. And they'll be like super nerds, and they'll have a new theory for it.
They will have to be super nerds, right? But they'll laugh at us, at how stupid we were. Just like we laugh at the people in the...
Me and you will be on a different plane having this exact same conversation about old knowledge. While we've all got this new knowledge, we're still talking about the old knowledge.
Yeah, but I think when you said something like, I'd like to know what the person in between lives is like, and when you said, what is or who is God, you can't know the person in between. You can't know what God is, because God is God, and he knows you. And, to say that you're going to know him is like saying that you're going to know yourself. It doesn't make any sense. But the person in between lives is you, and it's easily knowable, and you know him often. And since time is kind of a human-made thing, you're knowing him right now. And there's easy ways to know him while you're still living in this body as well. But the goal is not really to know him. He came down here in Craig's body to rock on some drums and do this thing and do his thing for this experience.
Get rid of the depression then, bro. Do me a favor. Give me the good shit.
Well, putting the old fix, the quick fix that's not great. It's kind of like if you're playing Contra and you're just side scrolling, you have unlimited lives, and you want to be like, beat the game for me. Who the fuck would do that?
Yeah, true.
Wouldn't you want to play the fucking game? And then you're like, well, I got unlimited lives. Let me see what it'd be like to die on the first enemy, because I'm now bored. I've beat it a few times, or maybe not. It's usually not that way. Usually you have to work through it and know what's the point of free will if you don't have to work through experientially your life and, through experience and stuff. I'm sure there are plenty of people that can come and give you a hand. That's why we're trying to summon angels inside of the pyramids like Crowley. But most people don't spend their life doing that. Most people spend their life reading text messages and shit.
Video games. I do like video games, but there's a time and a place. And it is exactly after dinner. That's my time and my place for it. I need to talk about your fucking album or else everyone's going to be annoyed.
Do people like when you talk about music the most?
No.
Okay. I was just curious because I wouldn't think that because it's so boring these days that I would wonder why music would be the primary.
I personally love it when we don't talk about music, but I genuinely want to know some stuff about your music, and then I've also made the press agents happy and everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, is the record called Rustbelt Nu Metal?
Yeah, that's the name of the album.
No click, no editing, one take, or is it one take? Like one take per song, or did you do multiple takes?
We did 2 takes of each song. And we only did 2 takes of each song because we had 50 people there in the studio. And so everyone had these cans. So
really? It was a full...
It wasn't no bullshit. Yeah, it was. We had 50 pairs of headphones, chairs, sitting there watching the recording, which most people would be like, that's fucking up the artistic process. But
I think that's cool. It's like a show.
I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of exclusive. It's kind of like a show. It's kind of live, and it's kind of like the mood that I was in. This kind of came to me when I was in Egypt in December. I went for a month, and I stayed for...
Sorry to laugh. It's just fucking funny. I'm trying to talk about something else. Well, actually, this came to me when I was in Egypt. Carry on.
I'll give you a cliff note. So I spent...
No, I like it.
I'll do a brief spark notes. I spent a month in Egypt from December to January, Christmas, New Year's. I'm a Capricorn. My birthday is December 30th. So I spent my birthday actually from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. in the Great Pyramid alone, like Crowley.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You really did it.
So this was tapping in, yeah. And it was a new Capricorn moon. This wasn't when I had this vision. I had a bunch of other visions. And I just spent 3 hours alone, meditating in this Queen's Chamber, the King's Chamber, the Subterranean Chamber, all these places you can't go in there all night, in the middle of the night.
How did you do this?
You have to contact the government of tourism and antiquities. You have to get a inspector and a permit, and
but they will let you in. You didn't break in. This is another
you can't break in. Yeah. No, you can maybe if you have talent, but I don't think they will guaranteed let you in. I think I worked on it for 6 months, and it was thousands of dollars, but it was important. And don't get me wrong, I think it's also not important to do that if you don't feel like it, but it's what I wanted to do anyway. And it's how I wanted to spend my birthday and things like this. And this isn't what the download that I got that day. I was just saying when I was there, I had this vision. And it was a cool idea to do this album this way. So it said on the solstices and the equinox. So March, June, September, you'll make an album, 9 songs, 3 songs, 999. It's the 2025 of the year of the 9. You'll have 3 records that come on these. The equinox and solstice are like the symbol of the cross. That's why there's 4 of them. That's how the earth sits. You make these records. It's just what you're supposed to do. That's not, I'm not going to say what happened, but I just had this insight of...
Why not?
I'm cool with saying 90% of stuff, but some stuff I don't really know how to say it.
And it's not good juju to say it now before you've done it all, surely.
I don't mind that because it was also a challenge. When I heard this, it's almost like someone else telling it to me. I'm like, there's no fucking way. You think someone can make 3 records in a year? This is hilarious because I don't really like the Beatles. But the instant I said, do you think someone can make 3? I'm talking to my subconscious at this point because I've been talking to that thing for like 30 years. The minute I said it, said the Beatles did it. And I'm like, which is hilarious because I didn't know they did it. Yeah. Because I don't know anything about them because I don't like them. You know what I mean?
You sure that was your subconscious you were talking to?
It could have
been the Great Pyramid.
It could have been the English ambassador in there.
No, I meant more like a fucking demon.
It could have been. No. Oh, yeah. If it was talking about the Beatles, yeah, I'm sure it was a demonic. You know, Yoko, that's a witch right there. Yeah. Dark one. I had this insight, and it's like, you're going to do these records in this, you're going to do them this way, da-da-da-da. And I can't remember if I was thinking or if I was just tired. Maybe I don't really recall which came first, but it was kind of, I think everyone on earth is kind of tired of the homogeneity, and especially in this type of music. We were talking about it a little bit at the gym. Yeah. Wow, we got into this music because it was kind of iconoclastic, and it was a little against the grain, and it was kind of rough around the edges, and it was kind of anti-establishment, right? And now it's just nothing but. It's just a bunch of old crybaby dudes, like tatted from head to toe, crying because other dudes like
didn't want to
hurt their feelings. Yeah, exactly. Which is disgusting. Or you have like crazy black metal dudes dressed up in spikes and blood, pig vomit all over them while they're playing live, upside down crosses, complaining about Trump on Twitter. We got to lose one of these things, you know. It's just goofy. So the point being, I don't know if I was thinking this at the time or if it's just a response to just do something challenging, because we have a click track when we play live. Not always, but we have one. And we will also have all of our backing tracks of the crazy production that we try to put in songs, noises that aren't even instruments, stuff like all of the kind of cinematic stuff and all the extra stuff that's the stuff that we like. But I thought it would be challenging to do something with none of that. So there's no programming, there's no keyboard, there's no quantizing. We'll do edits like add compression. We'll do things
obviously. Well, I mean, like chopping. I can hear that it's not like, obviously it's impossible to do if you're all playing and it's recorded live. Chopping everything up, putting it on the grid so it becomes very stagnant. Yeah, and it's not good. But we had some problems in this building. There was a hum, and we couldn't get rid of this hum. So we only did it for, exactly. So for 2 days, we had 1 day to prep and then 1 day to record. So prep just means set up amps. And we could not get rid of this humming. And we were using 1990 DOD era pedals. So this is the grunge DOD distortion, the super distortion, the American metal, the envelope filter, all the old classics we all had as kids, just to make it the same idea, theme for the feel for the record. And real pedals, I spent all day cleaning them, got them independent power sources, independent wiring, all this other stuff to make sure it was as good as possible for the sound, the clarity, try to do as much as we could by way of that, and then also so that everyone listening would have a halfway decent recording to listen to without being so processed. We spent the whole day trying to get rid of this hum, and we couldn't. So this is a long way of saying the guitar tone on this album sucks. Flat out. Sucks. I'm not even going to sit and act like anyone in the band thinks it's cool. It's shot. Because we didn't get to dial in a tone. The whole first day was supposed to be set your amp up, which takes 5 minutes. Yeah. Unbelievable amps, Dr. Z's, shit like this, like cool boutique amps, which some people would say is the problem, but it wasn't. And spend most of the day getting the tones. And then basically running logistics where you're thinking, you have to have someone sit in 50 chairs and make sure 50 sets of headphones work and shit like that. Yeah, this fucking sucks.
Right. So we spent all day trying to get rid of this hum, and this fucking guitar tone is shot. The bass tone's good. The drums sound good.
I didn't think it was that bad. It didn't stick out at me. And I'm one to go like, that sucks. Didn't stick out at me. It just sounded raw.
Then we were thinking, well, it sounds raw. So
yeah, I mean, look at like the first self-titled Korn album. Like,
it's growling though. It's growling.
Yeah, but it's like objectively not good.
But it's growling.
That's what I mean. So you're like giving yourself shit. Like,
I don't know. I wish it was growling.
Well, why don't you? Well, you've got 3 more to do.
2 more.
2 more. Wait. So hang on. They're not released on the Equinox.
No,
they're recorded on the Equinox.
It's important to record them on the Equinox.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah. So we recorded it March 23rd. The next one is June 20. We have to check that out. But it's really raw. And it, like I said, I don't know. I can't remember in the vision. Was it a response to the homogeneous? I just get, again, just to rehash, because we kind of got off track, like the reason why I'm into this and like this, and the reason why King is King in the way that it is, and it's all fucked up, and people think it's all whack, and people think it's crazy that I'm at January 6th, or that we make pornography music videos, or that we make, all the things that we do. It's like, this is what we like about this. This is like, well, to me, it's who I am. So it's kind of dissing me when they say this, but I don't care, because that's the position that's like what I signed up for. It doesn't hurt my feelings, but I'm pretty white trash. And that's just, I'm just into wild shit and doing stuff. And but I'm into a bunch of shit, but like, I guess the point is, this is what I liked about this type of music, is that it was, I don't want to say edgy, because that whole term's been hijacked.
No, the original, it's the right word, but in the original context. Yeah. Because that's what came into my head.
Yeah. In these days, our records, like our types of music, the stuff that we do, even though our bands don't sound anywhere near the same, it's the weakest sounding shit out. It's so, everyone just pulls up the Gojira VST and fucking rocks out, or pulls up the drum.
It's a great VST.
It's a great.
The Neural Gojira is fantastic.
It's maybe the best live band I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, they're the best.
It's an unbelievable VST. I want a lot of people to buy that VST.
Do you know that they sponsored the podcast, or did you just?
I had no clue. I'm just saying, it's different when you have producers like, I don't know, like my buddy Will Putney.
He knows every one of our records. He's one of my best friends.
When he makes a record, you can kind of tell it's his record. Yeah, that's different.
That's why we get into our records.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about motherfuckers just dumping poop after poop. I'm like, I just want to hear something that's real. This is another reason why we did it live in a room. I'm not. By the way, I'm not feeling myself at all. But I don't think bands can even do this anymore. I'm not saying that because I think we're awesome. I'm saying that because, again, I was wondering if we could as well. Not that I know we're all talented, but I when I think of an idea to do, in putting out 3 records in a year is pretty crazy. But putting out 3 live records in front of an audience, and then saying you're going to do it, and then having to do it because you just said you were going to do it, is even crazier. And then doing it completely all independently with no label and no funding and no anything at all is also crazy. And then also not having any of the songs written when you said that you were going to do it is also another challenge, which I appreciate all these challenges. That's kind of what I was going for. And I was just trying to be like, how can we make it impossible? I don't think that many bands can do this type of shit. And I didn't know that we could either. So part of it is the challenge where I was like, let's just make a few live records like Rage did in, 92, was it 2? When they did almost the same thing, although they used isolation cabinets, which we did not do. And they overdubbed the
first
vocals.
The first record.
Yeah.
I think it's 1990.
90, okay.
I think. Don't quote me on that.
But they did that same thing. And that could have been subliminally where I got the idea.
One of the best records of all time.
Yeah, it's so sick. So,
but you're annoyed about the guitar tone.
The guitar tone's not good, but that's part of it. It's part of it.
Is it better on the second one?
It's gonna have to be. We're doing it in June. We're doing it next month.
Do you not worry? I get the feeling that the answer is just going to be no. I don't fucking care. But like,
you ask if you don't worry, just say no.
Yeah, I know, but I want your thoughts on it. So, with the homogenization of music, which I also fucking hate, and most of the bands I listen to really have to be doing something different for me to really get involved. However, most of the bands that are insanely popular, and I am happy for their success, and whatever bands that are huge but I don't listen to, and they all sound the same. Not songwriting wise, but I think like audio wise, like we're talking about right now, like it's the same drum program, it's the same guitar program. Do you not worry that the listener is so used to the homogenized music that they won't get it.
No. That was a good question, but
the answer is just no.
No, I never even had that thought. I think we have great sounding records. Josh, I think, is the best. I want to make 100 records with him. I don't ever want to not make a record with him. I think we're kind of kindred spirits in that sense, where we make these crazy records, and the craziest one we've ever made is like, it's almost done, and then we're going to put that out next year in 26. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
So hang on. Four records in 2 years.
It's going to be 5.
5 records in 2 years.
Yeah. Probably people will be tired of the band by then, but...
No, I think you can get away with it with the live ones. I think you can get it because they're an event. This is...
An event. I like that.
They're an event. And I don't think that's going to really... I mean, think about rappers. Rappers just bring out a song. Like, oh, I wrote a song yesterday. Here it is. Like, I kind of wish that was more in our kind of music.
Yeah, I don't really see... I think about things like that a little bit more rather than when I hear these people, like, for example, we're on tour right now. When I hear these people talk about tour and how it's such hard work, we are completely independent. We have no one working for us almost. We have 4 awesome chicks, agents, PR, whatever. As far as being on the road, none. No crew. We don't have people doing things. I don't have anyone wiping my ass. We have no management. We have no label. Being on tour is not work. You work an hour a day, maybe. And again, I'm not saying it because I'm not told to show up to stage. I'll just repeat it. We drive in a vehicle, a van. We drive it ourselves. We don't have a driver. No one checks my shit and says report to stage at 7 and then you'll play and then you hand me your shit and leave for the rest of the day and go hang out with chicks. We're doing everything you do as a touring band. It's not work. And when I hear people talk about making an album, it's not work either. It sounds just like a bunch of shitty kids that don't know what real work is. They're like, oh, we made this album. We just did this album. And it's like, you did that album 2 years ago. People's children are starting school that they birthed. And you think those 8 songs you did are doing anything on the planet of Earth? That's no judgment against them. They can...
No, it's funny.
I just don't...
Because I do that, and I've got a drum tech, and I've got a tour manager, and I use them all the fucking time.
Oh,
but then I come home with less money, and I'm annoyed about it, so...
Yeah,
it's work, but it's work for someone else. I'm still not at work. In fact, I'm definitely not at work. Someone else is working.
Even sitting right here, right now, right? We've been doing something for an hour. It's to
hour 42.
142, which is that's a magical number, but it's not work to me. And even though we play relatively
cameras up, bro.
Work. It's not work.
It's not work. This is my vacation.
I feel the same way about touring and making music and stuff like that. Even when you're talking about, do you worry that they think that the over-polished stuff, they might not get it or they might not like it. I only care about the people that get it or like it. Well, that's why I don't care about, like you said a second ago when you said, even bands, I don't care. I don't listen to or don't necessarily like. I'm happy for their success, but da-da-da-da. We're fans. We do like shit, obviously. I think both of us do because we were talking at the gym about the things we liked, but it's not, some things aren't for everyone. And also we like what we're supposed to like and we do what we're supposed to do. And I don't know, the consensus or the general population has never liked King. Ever. We've never been, I don't think, cool to like.
You were so cool.
Really?
Like, yeah, 100%.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I only think about the people that want to hear it, and I just feel like I have this creative, this sounds goofy, but this kind of this infinite well of creativity that I don't. People have asked the same thing about saturation. Like, you think you're going to oversaturate this shit, and I'm like, I'm not even in the market. I'm only making music for a couple tens of thousands of people that like it. That's it. If more people want to like it, cool. If less people want to like it, cool. If they don't like it, I still know how to make cool, big, cinematic sounding, awesome, whatever. Stay tuned for that. That's probably coming around the corner. But right now I'm doing this, and this is what I want to do. And this is what we thought would be cool as a interesting, challenging. When I think about things, besides Rage, and there's probably a bunch of other people, but I don't hear about anyone doing the shit that we're doing. And that's kind of when we sit around brainstorming about what we want to do. The first thing has to be, is anyone doing this? And if the answer is yeah, it's not going on very high on the list. So no, I don't worry about any of that. In fact, it's a prerequisite that we have to acknowledge right off the jump that people aren't going to be into the idea. And I'm not going to explain it to anyone either.
I think people will be. I just like devil's advocate thinking like people who listen to that really, really polished stuff. But then there's like a completely separate conversation that can be had about, like grunge. When grunge came out of hair metal, where everything was over polished and over the top and super shiny, and then there was listener fatigue, and then grunge happens, and everyone was like, "What the fuck is this?" And it's like, well, that's real. That's the real stuff.
Yeah,
you could actually be hitting it right at the right time. Like even bands like Turnstile being the biggest fucking band on earth, like that's raw. Like you'd be hitting the raw time right, even though you don't want to, you don't care.
Yeah, maybe.
I hate listening to music, and I was like, oh, you told me the concept, and I was like, fuck yeah, you sent me the link, I should listen to it straight away. Like,
yeah, I was wondering. I was like, I hate to send this to him, but he asked, so I'm going to. But I don't like to, man, just because I don't like shit, I guess. And although I follow things that fall into my path and that I know that I'm supposed to pay attention to. But I hate to hit someone with 8 or 9 songs and be like, hey, you got the 40 minutes for me?
Do you know what's the worst, though? And you did it, but everyone does it. It's just how it works. The worst is the Google Drive link.
I can't stand it.
It's like, and it puts me out. Like, it's a running bit. I hate music. I obviously don't fucking hate music. I make music. I got a music podcast. But like, I hate having to click. You mean to make me click another button after that song?
One. Yeah. The biggest company on earth that's arguably running the world cannot make a fucking playlist function.
It's fucking nuts.
Let me put you up on game. I don't know if you know this.
No.
I don't use Google Drive. Our producer does. That's why it's there. I don't use Google Drive and never will. I'll use it because he sends me the link. I'm not like a shill. I don't have any endorsements or any whatever.
Google's not paying you.
No. Contrary to
imagine the money though.
I know I make I take a robot face off and tell you this whole time I was not in Peru.
I'm Google Drive.
I'm Mr. Drive.
I was in
I'll show you where to drive.
Silicon Valley getting my gears changed.
And I'll drive you somewhere. In Spotify, you can make playlists of files off your computer or phone.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a fucking way easier way to do it. Don't accidentally leak your records, though.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I guess you don't really give a fuck. Is there anything you give a fuck about? Oh, I got a question for you.
What is it? You just asked me a question.
No. I got a new one.
Scratch
it came and it's better. I will ask you in a minute, is there anything you give a fuck about? But you've been shot and you've been stabbed. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Which is worse? I'm from the countryside of England. We don't even have guns. Was it the same day?
I got shot 2 different times. Once with a handgun. That was okay. Once with a shotgun.
That was okay. What do you mean okay? Like not that bad?
I've had worse.
Okay.
Stabbed.
And then a shotgun.
Shotgun.
That can't be good.
That was a little more rough only because it just felt like more burning. I guess the easiest way to describe it was I got shot in the side and the leg with a handgun. And I knew that I got shot because I was behind a pole, telephone pole, and the parts that were sticking out got shot. I knew that because I could feel it happen. When I got shot with the shotgun, I just felt it all over, but it was because the buckshots went all in my legs, my feet, my sides, and in the side of me. It was more burning, but it was just more of the same thing. The stab, I remember feeling cold. like the opposite almost. There was one wasn't worse than the other. I just, the only thing I remember, because I was a kid at the time, I was 20 or whatever, I only remember the pain coming from some type of, this sounds fucked up to say, and I'm not trying to make things like gruesome or anything, but I think that I was so mad that I maybe couldn't kill the guy before he might have killed me. Yeah. That I was in this angry pain, like frustration and worry. I don't want to say fear. I want to say I was so worried that I would die before I somehow got to kill this guy.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing. So when I say worry or fear, it could be, is I thought, I don't know where I'm hit. I don't know where I'm stabbed. I don't know where I'm shot. Don't know anything about it. Yeah. I can feel stuff and there's shit going on. My shoes, my coat, my shirt's filling up with blood. And all this other shit is going on. It could be in my heart. Could be, I don't fucking know. You're just like, did he blow my leg off? You don't really know. It's dark. It's in the middle of the night, and I was just so pissed that I might die before this guy died.
For revenge.
Right.
I feel like that's how I'd be. I'd probably cry like a little fucking baby, but I feel like after the whimpering, I'd have been like, motherfucker.
Yeah, I remember that feeling, and it was like almost like a rapturing of worry, which doesn't really make any sense. And also doesn't really answer the question about pain. But that was
I wanted the story. I didn't really care about the pain.
Okay.
You did great. That's but so shot and stabbed at the same time. What the fuck happened?
Only once. Yeah. The second time I got shot was just a drive-by. It was just
a drive-by.
Simple light. It was a light drive-by. Tuesday afternoon.
Simple drive, just a common drive-by.
Misunderstanding. Yes. Yeah, wrong place at the wrong time.
But then what happened the other time?
A group of people that I don't like me, apparently. They tried to rob me. I wrote about it in my book a little bit. They pulled a gun out, like, give me your stuff. I did something you shouldn't do if someone holds a gun out.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
I grabbed my dick and said, you can get this back.
I've never been in that situation, but in my head, I've thought about what I would do. And it's always like, especially if it's robbing, I really don't trust myself to not go, you're going to have to kill me.
Yeah. And that's stupid.
Oh, it's so dumb.
But I was 20. I'm not coming back, into the past to justify the actions of my 20-year-old self.
Yeah, I'm still there.
I did that. And they circled around the block. I was hyping myself up, talking to myself like, oh yeah, if that motherfucker, I'm just making shit up. You know how it is when you cut these close calls and you're like, if that dude would have got out, I would have did this and that and the other. While I'm fantasizing about what happened, he dropped one of his buddies off behind me and he snuck up behind me and just stabbed me. So then I start fighting with him, And again, this isn't like to be cool. This is all public. This is like a public thing. You know what I mean? Everyone in the neighborhood for sure knows, but also
I couldn't find it on the internet. That's why I'm doing this. That's why this will be a clip.
Just refer to this clip. Anyway, so
let's sell records,
yeah,
bro.
There we go. We're gonna get so many sales.
Exactly. Oh wait, I've got one.
There we go.
You're gonna sell records, kid.
Yeah, it actually backfired. All that stuff kind of backfired because when we came out, people were like, "Oh, you're from Flint. Oh, you were into gangs and doing all this." Then I'm like, "Yeah," and the PR side of things was heavy on that because it's maybe interesting to them. I don't know. Again, this is not blame. I don't care. It's just what happened. But so that's kind of what everyone got obsessed with. And I read this funny, my friends send me comments because I have this rule to only spend 60 seconds on social media. Mm-hmm. So 7 minutes a week. And
wow,
they'll send me these things just to make me just to keep me frosty, keep me on my toes. And they'll send me these comments like, I thought this motherfucker was gangbanging. This fucking guy's worshiping the devil.
That's what we said though. That's cool.
And I'm like, fuck. Then I don't give any credence to it. It's just some funny comments. But like, I start thinking about it, and I just try to be constructive, I guess. Think about, why is that? Why do people think that? Because to me, you already went through it. This is the very first thing. This is a good bookend. This is the very first thing you asked. You were like, I'm confused. That we got demons here. We got voodoo, and we got this, da 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 da.
And we got robbing the Kmart. Like,
that's exactly what I'm saying. Is the very first EP we made in 2011. It has a real goetic ritual in the booklet.
Oh, sick! I never knew that.
This isn't, and these are not images like from the internet. This is a real rite. And I'm like, yo, our first EP, this is 13, 14 years ago, our first record, 10, 11 years ago, are weird as fuck.
Yeah, you're coming out.
Anyone who doesn't think that's weird, I'm completely out of my mind. And
yep, I'm in.
It's from the very first jump off. So I just wonder, was that part not as emphasized?
Well, that would, correct me if I'm wrong, first EP was physical only, and then didn't come on streaming until you fucked up.
So it was only,
should have put it on earlier.
I don't even know what streaming was at the time. Yeah,
there we go. Re-released that.
We threw that on the streaming later because that's just something.
Yeah, but I'm not getting the booklet on the.
You need the booklet.
I need the booklet.
I carry one around with me. I'm gonna get you a booklet. All right.
Can I have one?
Yeah.
Have you got one? Can I have a physical copy?
I'll send them all to you.
I will trade you whatever you want. I mean, definitely not that. It's painted by Gojira himself. No, clothes or something. I'll give you clothes.
Whatever you want.
I'll give you clothes.
Definitely not that. Because I looked at that when I came in. I was like, oh, yeah, I would like that.
Yeah, no, that's unfortunately, that is a gift from Mario from Gojira. He painted that for me.
What a guy.
What a fucking nice guy. And then came on here and made me feel bad about how much I practice the drums, because he still practices 2 hours a day with 2 kids every single day.
So you should have just told him you had 4 kids.
Doubled it. I got 4 kids, motherfucker, so I can only practice for half as much time. Let's wrap it up. I could do this for like 5 hours.
Let's do it next time I come into town.
Just come in.
I come here like maybe 5 times a year.
Oh, fuck yeah. We'll do it properly. We'll do a follow-up. When does Rustbelt Nu Metal come out?
Comes out on the very peculiar date of 6/9.
6/9, which is backwards for me. So
June 9th?
The 9th of June.
That's about a month away.
On a Monday.
It's a Monday. Only the greatest bands put out records on Mondays. Monday is the day of the moon. That's why it's called Moon Day.
You are really doing shit. It's lucky you don't have a team, because they'd be so pissed off.
Maybe that's why I don't have one.
Yeah.
Their hair would be falling out. They would talk about how it won't stream because it's getting picked up in the second half of the week and it won't count towards the whatever.
You got a tour coming up after this
September.
September.
August, September. The month of September. The very end of August. It's called Welcome to the Rust Belt. UK, Europe.
UK, Europe.
Yeah, we're going to miss you.
We're going to let you in.
We're going to be in Glasgow.
We're going to be there.
I know. So we're going to rock over there with my buddy Josh's band, Bangs Arcade. Moss.
Bangs Arcade, yeah. That's a weird lineup.
That's a weirdo. Yeah. Well, he's weird. I'm weird.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that was coming up. And then you've got more records coming out. Am I the first person to leak that info?
100%.
Fuck yeah.
Well, we've said that we have records coming out. Yeah. You're the first person that I sent the record to.
I appreciate
so no one's heard it. And I just act like it's not done when anyone asks me. So we have more.
This is why you don't have a team.
Yeah. We have more. We have another record. We're being recorded in June, one in September. Then we do an annual show that's really sick on Sam Hain, November 1st. We do one at home, and it's a real theatrical ordeal, which we did one last year. We made a Blu-ray of it, and so it's on YouTube for free too, but we just make like these collector items and stuff and do big show every annual year for the people at home. Do the show that you want to do that you can't afford to do on tour.
Yeah.
You know, you spend 30 G's on a show. You do it once. You can't really take it on the road because there's too many moving parts. You got 10 people working on it.
Too many fake guns, I imagine. Is that still going on? Still got with real guns on stage? Were they real?
You're gonna have to come to the show and find out, man.
I mean, I'm coming. It's in about an hour, so I hope I'm coming.
I think I might.
You got guns on stage? We're in Nashville.
No guns on stage. No, we're not doing.
Is that gone? That's gone.
Evolved.
It was the talk of the town back in the day, though. I was so excited.
I thought we were rocking and rolling, but apparently we were just getting flagged from Live Nation venues.
I mean, but it looked so fucking sick.
I thought it was sick too.
Yeah, so sick.
It didn't hurt.
You a gun guy? You got a gun?
Oh yeah,
guns. We haven't got enough time.
Time. Well, if you ever want to come to Michigan, we got hundreds of guns.
No water.
No water.
Water's still fucked.
We drink.
God, we could talk about this all day.
Yeah, the water's still fucked. We can maybe talk about that next time. We just eat gunpowder and blood.
Nice. You want to leave it there? That's a great fucking ender. I'm in a bit of a funk at the moment, and I came back from the gym, and I was just I'm in a great mood. You're a great guy. It's been a great day.
Thanks, man.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you rock the shit.
Thanks for having me.
In like an hour. Thanks for coming. We've got to do it again.
100%.
Fuck yeah.